All right. So I figure we got back from Origins yesterday on Sunday and figure, it's supposed to be my day off today, kind of as a recovery day from Origins, but I don't know how not to work nowadays, which it's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining. Don't mind you. It's just I can't like go downstairs and go hang out and play video games because I could be doing something for the show. And so I thought, I might sound a little bit funny, but I've gotten to the point now to where this is just my convoy or my post-con voice, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, so I figure I would give you guys kind of our recap, a little bit anyway, and give you all the gist of what Origins is kind of all about. So Origins runs, at least for us, it ran from Wednesday through Sunday night, or through Saturday night, sorry. Whereas for most folks, it's going to be Thursday through Sunday. Normal 4-day convention, and then usually media stuff the day before, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. So, all right. So Origins, it was a lot of fun. First off, Clay over at Capstone Games was gracious enough to ask to host us at his booth, at the Capstone Games booth, which it's a kind of a benefit for both him as well as for us. For him, he gets, hey, come meet Heavy Cardboard at the booth, this and that. And we get a lot of people coming by the booth, which draws traffic, which is a win-win for him. For us, it gives us a kind of a base of operations from which to go to, like, store our t-shirts that we were selling, stuff like that, as well as kind of a place of respite to where we can go and sit and just hang out, even though it's pretty much a steady stream of folks coming by the booth, which, again, awesome problem to have. Just that's why I sound the way I do, because talking a lot, which for those that know me is not anything new. Just, hey, if people are going to take the time to come by the booth, we're going to take the time to talk to them. So yeah, so that's that. So big thanks to Clay over at Capstone Games. They had the release of Lignum that was really, really successful, as well as Three Kingdoms Redux was there, and he had the Hoshbell Connect base game as well as the expansion there. And from everything that I saw, all that was doing real well. So that was very cool. Finally got to meet Ryan Metzler, who formerly of the Dice Tower now is doing his own thing along with Clay and Joe over on the Deep End podcast. And that dude kills me, man. He is hysterical. Not much like what he is on his own show on the Dice Tower, on the original reviews that he did. But yeah, we had a lot of fun hanging out with those guys, and just everything from just talking games and just being gamers as well as talking shop. That was a lot of fun. And it was cool to kind of get his take on things, because he's now hasn't reviewed games in a year and a half or so, because real life he has a big time job now. So that's that. So as far as the con itself, though, I dug how chill the convention was. And what I mean by that, there's something like 25,000 people, they say, attends that thing. And it never, ever, ever felt anywhere close to that big. And I mean that in the best way possible. If y'all have been to Gen Con or Spiel or any of these massive conventions, you know how loud they are, you know how just jam-packed they are, and you feel like a sardine trying to swim upstream if you're trying to get out of the walkways. This is not that. There's plenty of room to walk around. You could talk at a normal volume from a normal distance and be able to hear each other clearly. And it was just a laid back, just chill vibe that the convention had that, is closer to a heavy con or BGG con than you would have thought a big time convention. Now, the exhibit hall is pretty big. I mean, it's not Gen Con spiel big, but it's a lot bigger than something that you would experience at just about any other conventions. But it still had this, hey, we have time for you type feel. And it really, really was kind of a fantastic vibe that was going on. Now, Pride Week was also the same weekend, and that actually heightened that kind of chill, laid back vibe outside of the convention hall itself, as well as, not so much in, because the vibe was the vibe from the gamers and everything and the exhibitors and everything else. But it just, whenever we would go out to eat or whatever, the feel of the entire town, or at least that part of town that we were in, just felt hip and cool and exciting and fun, yet laid back. So big props to, I guess, really the city of Columbus for putting on a really excellent convention, as well as the parade that went down over the weekend. And I got to be honest, ultimately, both Amanda and I agreed that Origins is now on the absolute rotation for conventions that we need to attend every year. Not only for being able to meet listeners and viewers and everything like that, but also just to be able to touch base with, to network on the business side of things, and just how ideal it is. Whereas, Gen Con, Essen, and all these bigger ones are really, go, 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 work all the time, and that be that. So yeah, really well done, both by, I guess, Gamma as well as the city. So yeah, really, really had a good time. So let me talk about some more stuff about it. Had a massive gaming area. So the way this is set up is a little bit, well, it's strange to me, this being my first time at Origins, to where you had this massive exhibit hall area, and then through a doorway led to a massive gaming area. And it was never, it was officially closed off, the exhibit hall, but you could still see in there the whole time. They just had security that said, no, you can't go, that type thing. But so it felt like it was always one big room, even if it was segregated. So that was a little bit unique, I think. But the massive gaming area, you did have to have a board game pass, which I think was $20 on your ribbon or on your badge if you wanted to game in there. We had press passes, so they let us in there to be able to take pictures and do all that stuff. And if you were on Twitter, then you probably saw all of this stuff. Yeah, just really cool environment. I actually never went and checked out a game there at the game library, but from everything I've heard, it's a massive game library. I saw it, I just never went and actually interacted with it. Games that I saw that were on the table the most was Baron Park, Terraforming Mars. Those are probably the two games I saw played most at the convention. And then Century Spice Road, Lignum, and Lisboa were the boxes that I saw people carrying around the most throughout the week. Now, Lignum didn't show up until Saturday, so take that with a grain of salt that I only saw that on Saturday. But Lisboa, they had Eagle Griffin had about 100 copies of it. Essentially the first day. There were a couple copies left over on the second day, so that sold out. So everybody and their mother, it seemed like, was carrying that around. And Century Spice Road, everybody I saw, it felt like, was carrying a copy of this around the hall. So I heard it's supposed to be the Splendor Killer. Haven't played it. Got no strong interest to play it. Tony has played it, says he enjoys it. So there's that. Let's see what else. Here's one that was completely off my radar because of the publisher, which very much not our normal wheelhouse. But I was told both by like 3 or 4 people, specifically Gil Hova, Formal Ferret, and Aldi from BGG, when he stopped by. He said that we absolutely need to check out this game called, and I may mispronounce it, so bear with me, but Sidereal or Sidereal Confluence. So Sidereal Confluence or Sidereal Confluence by WizKids. Not a publisher that you would equate with Heavy Cardboard, but I've heard that it's this heavy economic simulation set in a sci-fi space type setting that's supposed to be just the depth on it is supposed to be just massive. So there's that. I'm anxious to check it out. I actually wanted to try and meet Zev, who used to be the owner, founder of Z-Man, who now works as a part of WizKids. But when we went, Chatty Boy or Chad from BGG took us around to try and go find him, but timing just didn't work out and never got a chance to meet him. So that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, looking forward to checking that out at some point. So it was definitely one that people kept telling us, hey, I know this isn't your normal publisher, but check this game out. Oh, and I suppose I could turn the chat on for those viewing at home. I apologize. Wow, I'm off my game today. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, there we go. All right, cool. So let's see what else. For people that live in humidity, I don't know how you do it. Amanda and I got off the plane and walked outside to go grab an Uber or a cab or whatever to go to our hotel. And we were like, it was like breathing through a swimming pool. Not enjoyable at all. Yeah, we're at altitude, and I know people have a hard time adjusting to that. But man, that's nowhere near as nasty as humidity. Hate wearing I hated wearing jeans while I was there. I packed enough pairs of shorts to where that wasn't an issue. But that first day, oof, humidity, not good. Let's see what else. So met a ton of listeners, viewers, fans, whatever you guys want to. I always feel weird calling them fans. Calling y'all fans. Just fellow gamers. How's that? Hung out with Joe Wiggins, who was gracious enough to put on the meetup that we had. I don't know, about 25 folks show up at the meetup at Pies and Pints on Thursday night. We had some publishers, a couple designers show up, and then just people just hanging out and shooting the breeze and just having a good time. So that was really cool and mellow. I mean, we set it up 4 days beforehand because we weren't planning on doing a meetup. And then we had about, I think I'm not exaggerating when I say there were about 74 different meetups on Thursday night. I know there was the Blue Peg, Pink Peg. There was the Punchboard Media. Renegade Games had a thing going on. And there was one other, North Star had one going. There were a bunch. So it was a kind of a segregated crowd. So unfortunately, guys like Travis and all the Punchboard Media folks weren't able to come. But still, it was a really, really good time and very laid back. Again, it kind of flowed with the vibe of Origins to begin with. Just everybody was super approachable, regardless of what side you were on, whether you were the gamer trying to approach, whether it's media, whether it's designers, whether it's publishers, or vice versa. It was just so totally chill and laid back. If there's one thing that excuse me. If there's one thing I want y'all to take out of all of this is just how laid back and just gamer friendly this entire convention really, really was. It was really fantastic. Hung out with Lance, Tasty Minstrel / Undead Viking. Hung out with Sarah from Renegade Games. We cemented, I guess, our really good relationship with Lee, Tommy, and Raven over at Meeple Realty. Great people as well, a high-end product quality-wise, as far as just people we want to be associated with, both personally as well as with the show. That was really, really cool. Eagle Griffin flew out Vital Lacerda, and that was awesome after the first day, because unfortunately for Vital, it was something like a 25-hour flight. He got stranded in Cincinnati, waited for his connection to go to Columbus. It got canceled after waiting like 5-6 hours. So the guys had to go pick him up in Cincinnati and drive him back. And Clay had issues with Lignum, trying to get that to the show. Ultimately, though, after a night's sleep for Vital and the games did arrive for Clay on Saturday, everything ended up working out just great for all involved. So that was awesome. Had a great meeting with a whole bunch of different companies for the show side of things. And probably, I think the biggest news that we can announce, it's not really an announcement or anything, but the most validating aspect of the convention was I talked to the man himself behind BGG, behind Board Game Geek, Aldi, and explained to him why I felt that the Golden Elephant Award belonged on Board Game Geek as an official recognized award. We could, have it on the game pages for where it's associated with as a finalist and winners. And he agreed. So look for that hopefully later this week or next week. Golden Elephant Award is going to be officially recognized and on Board Game Geek. So that's really validating for what it is that we're trying to do here as far as bringing, I guess you could call it awareness and a wider appeal or wider audience, the joy of these heavier games that we really enjoy. So that's really, really exciting for us. And it feels really good. I ain't going to lie. It really did. Speaking of which, in a couple weeks, as part of our Wednesday interview series, or not really interview, conversations with Heavy Cardboard, I'm actually going to sit down and talk about the behind-the-scenes stuff and the history of Board Game Geek with Aldi himself. So look for that in a few weeks. We'll talk more about that when it gets closer. So that's very exciting for me, because if y'all are anything like me, and the reason I enjoy this Conversations with Heavy Cardboard series so much is because of the fact that I feel like I'm the world's biggest 5-year-old in that I really want to know the why of things, like whether it's a designer, a publisher, or somebody like Meeple Realty or like Aldi for BGG. I want to know the why and the how of the behind the scenes. I mean, there's a reason that shows like How It's Made are so popular. But the thing is with that show, I don't want to see the stuff they're making. I want to see how they make the machines that make this stuff that they're showing being made. But nonetheless, the whole why and how I love finding out about. And if I'm thinking about it, there's got to be others of y'all out there that are curious about this stuff too. And that's why we're trying to not just get designers on with the Conversations with Heavy Cardboard. We want it to be across the entire industry, all aspects, whether it's media, publishers, designers, accessory makers, BGG, hopefully be able to get Carmen with Game Surplus on to be able to talk about an online game store and what all goes into that and everything. I think that's interesting. At least I do, and so I'm hoping that other folks do as well. So let's see what else. Met tons of content creators, other media folk, talked about collaborations with some of them. Tantrum House, which are doing really great work. They're on the lighter end of things, but nonetheless, I think their production quality is fantastic. So looking forward to trying to be able to do some stuff with them. Met the folks behind Blue Peg, Pink Peg. And Rob is not nearly as loud in person as he seems on the I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding that he doesn't seem as loud. He doesn't. I'm saying really good guys and gals, as it were. So looking forward to trying to do some stuff with them as well. And just, again, this goes back to the vibe of Origins, the being able to just hang out and chat during the con, during exhibit hall hours, and being able to congregate like near the capstone booth. And it brought a crowd around, which is awesome for folks like Clay, but also other folks that are interested in meeting whether it's us from our show or other folks on their shows. It's just a win-win, and being able to do that and not feel like you're a sardine in a tin can was fantastic. So yeah, that was very, very cool. Couple other cool moments, I guess. or experiences. Sam from the Dice Tower, he had Clay over from Capstone Games when they were talking about Lignum, and Sam was giving us some props on the Dice Tower live streams. So that was very cool. Thank you, Sam, for doing that, giving us some props and telling folks to go check out our playthroughs and how to plays stuff. So that was very cool. And Clay and Stephanie from BGG, Stephanie Straw, insert straw here. When he was doing the live stream or the game preview for Lignum, they also were talking up Heavy Cardboard, which, yay! I mean, that's awesome. So thank you to both of them for, I guess, showing us a little love in that respect. So thank you on that. All right. So now we need to talk about I'm not going to say it was the best part, because the people were the best part of the convention, but outside of the people. Notice I'm not even really talking about games here. We need to stop and talk about the food at Columbus, because, dude, seriously. I understand now why people rave about the North Market. That was legit. So you walk into this, it's like a covered flea market type area, but instead of it being trinkets and gizmos that they're selling, it's all high-end food. Yay. They had a Polish joint, they had a Greek joint, they had a Mexican, they had some killer sandwiches, they had a barbecue joint, a couple of seafood, they had a Vietnamese restaurant. These are almost like food truck, food court area, but for foodies. It was unbelievable. Belgian waffles. They had a couple of coffee places. Jenny's ice cream. Donuts the size of your face. I mean, it was just ridiculous. The quality of the food. And that's just the North Market, which is right across the street from the convention hall itself. But then there was High Street. Now, the convention hall sits on High Street. And High Street goes probably much further than what we were willing to explore. We covered about the first mile of it, and it's just wall to wall on both sides, restaurants and bars and pubs and breweries and all this stuff. Everything from super high-end steakhouses, prime steakhouses, all the way down to, breweries and pubs and everything in between. And was just awesome food, just fantastic food. And Jenny's ice cream I'd heard a lot about. I understand why. I'll be honest, Jenny's ice cream is probably my favorite ice cream I've ever had. Better than my Tillamook ice cream back home in Oregon. It is just ridiculous. It was fantastic. The food just, if you're a foodie, and I am, that's another reason to go to Origins. It's that legit. It really, really is. Let's see what else. All right, so let's talk about some other people and games. So Vital was there, and it was pretty cool. The last night of the convention, Vital had demoed about 700 games of Lisboa and a couple of Vinhos, and was pretty worn out at this point. But he and I and Amanda were hanging out in the Eagle Griffin gaming area, and I broke out the two copies of Brass Birmingham and Brass Lancashire that I have from the guys over at Roxley. I still have the prototypes. They let me bring them to Origins, and we hosted a couple of plays of that in the open gaming area, which was cool. But being able to show this to Vital was pretty cool, and just talking shop and him asking questions about it and everything. That was just one of those, this is a cool moments, right? Like I had one of those with Jeroen from Splatter at HeavyCon. We were talking about five of us sat down to play Food Chain Magnate, and I had a question about something, and I was going through the rule book, and I was like, hold on one second. I got up, I walked 2 tables over, I was like, hey, Jeroen, I got a question. And to me, I mean, I don't get starstruck, but that strikes me as just one of those, that's just cool moments, you know? Like, that's just badass. That was just really, really cool. So yeah, that was fun with Vital. And we actually only played 2 games the entire convention. Now understand, Amanda and I don't go to these conventions to play games usually. It's to meet listeners and viewers of the show as well as the network, and to work, whether it's interviews, whatever, for the show. I mean, that's part of the main reason why we go to these conventions. But we did get to play a couple games, and I taught Lisboa to folks. I taught Brass to folks. And last but not least, the game that we played on Saturday was we played Founders of Gloomhaven with Isaac Childress, who's, designer, publisher behind Cephalofair, as well as the Gloomhaven. And we weren't super huge fans of Forge War. We reviewed that a year and a half, 2 years ago on the show. Weren't a big fan of the game. Gloomhaven, I did back the second edition, so looking forward to that. Enough heavy gamers have said good things about it that I'm like, yeah, okay, let's give it a try. However, Founders of Gloomhaven, I saw somebody describe it as Isaac Childress's take on a splatter game as far as logistics. I kind of buy that, actually. Now, I'm not calling it a splatter game. Let me stop there. But I understand where people would get that from. All right. It does have, it's a very, you're building up the town of Gloomhaven. I have not played Gloomhaven, so forgive me. You start out by picking a faction that gives you access to 2 different resources. And then you're building up this city by allowing folks or building these resources to be able to then build these other buildings, and you're building roads, and there is a vote between the councilmen, meaning the players, using influence that you have. There's 2 different types of influence. There's long-term, I forget the exact term of it, and fleeting or permanent influence, and fleeting influence. It's not permanent, but bear with me. Ultimately, when he was going through the rules, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe, okay. But as Amanda and I played it more and more, we both kind of looked at each other like, yeah, I'm really digging this. So I think this is going to be a really excellent meeting point of those that tend to like more dungeon dwelling games, and then the other side with folks that love more logistics Euro style games. I think this is going to be a very, very happy meeting point, that if you dig a meaty game, and this very much is, I think you're really going to dig it. So yeah, really, really big fan of our initial play of Founders of Gloomhaven, which I didn't know what to think of it coming in. I didn't know if it was going to be something that we would dig or not, but it's definitely something that I certainly am excited about. And I told Isaac, if he can get us an advanced copy of it, we can do a playthrough of it. I know some other folks are going to have the official ones or whatever, but yeah, definitely something we're checking out. I'm not one to hype Kickstarters a lot, but I know it's going to Kickstarter sometime in July. He's actually starting to work on it this week, the stuff he said. So yeah, look for that. I'm super jazzed about it and legitimately excited about it. All right. Let me see. Oh, I guess there's one other thing about Origins is apparently I might be going to Gen Con after all. It's not a definitive yet, but it's very well possible. So that'll be cool if that happens. All right. So let's actually, hey, the chat is going on. So hi, chat. Oh, hey, Lance is here. Undead. Hi, Lance. So let's see. What all is going on here? Oh, Keith's here. Yes, very excited about the Golden Elephant Award. Let me tell you, stupid excited about that. Did I catch a glimpse of First Martians? Ryan asked. I did not. I heard they did not have it out that I saw in the Portal booth. They were literally across the walkway from where we were at Capstone. We weren't there the whole time, but we were there, a few hours each day and everything. I didn't see it, but I did hear that it was there in some capacity. So unfortunately, I did not see it. Sorry about that. Keith saying that the humidity was pretty mild or for normal weather in Indiana, Ohio. There's a reason we don't live there. I did not enjoy that, nor did Amanda. Did we feel the number of new game announcements as Origins was lower this year? I don't have anything to base that off of, Dave, for the simple fact that this is our first year. Now, I know Lignum had its unveiling there, Lisboa. Both of these were soft releases because they both had about 100 copies, Lisboa and Lignum. Clay Dit was showing off the new version of the Climbers, which was cool to see. And trying to think if there was anything else. I know the expansion for Terraforming Mars was supposed to be there, and I was excited for that, but it didn't make it. Things get delayed, just like what happened with the main part of Lisboa. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see that. I would have loved to have picked up a copy. But yeah, it definitely felt like there wasn't a ton of new stuff, at least in the realm that we occupy. There were some other publishers that had a lot of games. The Exit games by Cosmos sold out every day, but they only had 50 a day of each one. So that I expected to sell out. And when we played the Abandoned Cabin at at HeavyCon, we had a blast. That was a hoot. For $15 for a one-time game, definitely recommended. Those are a lot of fun. I was pleasantly surprised by those. But not a ton of new releases. I did get wind. I need to tread carefully here. I do know that Renegade Games has some stuff coming down the road that is going to fall into our niche, I think is a good way to put it. So I'm very excited to be able to talk about that down the road, but I'm not allowed to right now. Just know that that's coming. That's good news. All right, let me see. Let me catch back up here. What kind of ice cream did we have at Jenny's? I had the same 2 ice cream cones I got both times because I tried a bunch. They had like some sweet biscuits and peach jam one. I tasted it. It tasted good, but not my favorite. My favorite was Smack Your Mama Good, and this was the brown butter with almond brittle. Oh, my Lord. Wow, was that good. And just, like, give me a moment. I'm just trying to think back and remember and taste. It was so tasty. Legitimately, it was amazing ice cream. The best ice cream I've ever had. It was really that good. Yeah, that was fantastic. And yes, Lance, talking mad smack about you. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for coming to the meetup. I appreciated it. It was cool to hang and talk shop and just cut up. That was cool. Oh, yeah, good call, Yorick. He mentions Tom Russell of the designer of various games, including Winsome Games, as well as half of the publishing team behind Hollandspiel. I'm glad you mentioned that because I meant to highlight this. So I was going out. I was chasing down Amanda, who was going to go get us coffee. And who do I run into just out in the hall? It's Tom and Mary Russell of Hollandspiel. And let me start by saying that is arguably the most adorable couple I have ever met in my life. They're both just, you just want to, hug them and put them in your pocket, feed them M&Ms. They're just adorable. Then he and Tom and I got to talking about, he sent me this real thoughtful email the day I was resigning from my job to quit my job, and was really, really, really sweet and really just kind. And it just goes to show the type of people that they are, and really big fans of theirs, even without from a game standpoint. You guys obviously know how we feel about an Infamous Traffic. I mean, it was a Golden Elephant Award finalist for 2016, but I've been saying this a lot lately, that the games in this hobby are great, but ultimately it's just a conduit to be able to meet really excellent people. And that's what sticks with you, because more often than not, there are exceptions to this rule, but more often than not, the things that you're going to remember years down the road isn't, dude, that awesome move I did in this game. No one cares. Really, no one really cares about that. But remember sharing a drink or having a dinner with some really good friends, or a meaningful conversation over the table, or just hanging out. That's the stuff that ultimately really matters in the scheme of things. And that is what makes this hobby so special, in my opinion, is the bringing together of people and using board games as that conduit to friendships that can last a lifetime. And that's what I appreciate, are quality people, much more so than board games. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, games drive all of this. They're the conduit. They're the glue that brings it together. But yeah, ultimately, man, it's the people. It really, really is. And my best times at conventions have nothing to do with games. It has to do with sitting around, standing around, whatever, just talking with people and having fun and getting to know folks. And it's just, just awesome. So Tom and Mary absolutely fall into that realm of just great people that I want to be around and spend time with. So yeah, if you are interested in the games that we dig, just so happens that Tom makes really interesting games as well, and they publish really cool games as well over at Hollandspiel. So yeah, I want to help promote good people as well as quality products. So winning there in that respect. So yeah, York, thanks for reminding me about that. I appreciate it. Obviously, 5 days is a lot to try. I mean, I tried to make notes as best I could, but inevitably I was going to overlook some things that I shouldn't have. So yeah, Tom and Mary, that was really a fun experience. And Cole showed up, Cole Worley, designer of PAX Premier, Infamous Traffic, the upcoming John Company, and he had John Company with him. I know I did not get a chance to play it, but again, got to hang out. Cole gave me a big old hug. It was cool to see him. He was only there for basically an afternoon and evening, but just was great to see him as well. And if all plays out well, we should be able to get an advanced copy of John Company for the show to both be able to do a playthrough and teaching as well as review it ahead of the release. So keep your fingers crossed on that. All right, let's see. I'm falling behind again in the chat. I apologize. Oh, and I know I catch a lot of grief about going back to the food idea, about pizza in general, that most pizza sucks and I only like high quality pizza, i.e. New York style pizza. There was a pizza joint there at the North Market. They had really good New York style pie. I just had a slice of cheese pizza. Really enjoyed it. It was very, very, very enjoyable. Yeah, the food, man. It goes people first, food second, the game's third, as far as how it fell down for me, or how the hierarchy of things that was awesome at Origins. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I bet you if you asked Amanda, it would probably be the same, even though she was very introverted at times, but did an awesome job of meeting folks and not going into a turtle shell with so many people coming up to us. This was her first real convention, or at least real big convention in which people might come up and say hi to us a lot. And that happened. And she was a little taken aback by it, but at the same time had kind of experienced it vicariously through me, through Essen or from Essen last year. So she knew what to expect. So she wasn't too overwhelmed, and she was able to kind of escape here and there when she needed to, which was awesome. And yeah, there was one other thing that happened that I will leave up to her if she wants to talk about in a super awesome way that one of our listeners and patrons did for her. But you'll have to listen to the podcast for that part of it. And all of this is going to be on the podcast. So for those listening after the fact, hi. All right, so let's see. Catching up because I'm behind on the chat. Founders feels a bit like the Great Zimbabwe and others. I kind of get that. Again, it's very much its own game and it's nothing like it, but I get a feel that I can understand why people would say that. Let's see. Lance, yes, I would be happy to be on the Allaboom on Wednesday. So look for that. I guess apparently I will be on the Allaboom on Lance's show on Wednesday. So look for that. When did Barron Park become heavy? It's not. But here's the thing. The podcast focuses on heavier games, but when we were doing trailers a lot more than we do so now, we covered games like The Climbers, we covered Arboretum, we covered dexterity games there, here and there. It's basically anything that we think have meaningful decisions. So the reason that I have Barron Park up here is we're going to be live streaming a playthrough of it here when I start talking about the schedule. The joy of this channel is it gives us flexibility on what we can highlight to, thinky filler, that type stuff. So we definitely want to be able to do that. And that's exactly part of what we're going to do. Now, the overwhelming majority of the stuff that we're going to cover, be on the podcast as well as the YouTube channel, is going to be heavier fare. But again, meaningful decisions. As long as there are some, we may touch on it. And as someone says, bears are heavy animals. Yeah. Oh, Dave, clarify something. Wasn't being specific. I meant more announcements of games that will be coming. Again, can't really speak to that in comparison to previous years. There just didn't feel like a lot of new stuff. Oh, wow. Hey, look at this new thing that's either here or coming, or at least stuff that is publicly announceable right now. So I can't say if that's different from previous Origins. With the size of Origins, though, I would be surprised if folks aren't starting, and by folks I mean publishers, aren't starting to try and get at least soft releases hit more at Origins than they have been, just for the simple fact that, wow, this is 25,000 people. We probably ought to, try and capture that market. I mean, if it were me from a publishing standpoint, I would try and do that. But what do I know? I'm just the talking head in that respect. I'm just a gamer when it comes to that aspect. Oh, okay. And Keith in chat says, even in the lighter side of things, there weren't that many new games at Origins. Okay, cool, good. But not good, but I'm glad to see that it ran the gamut. It wasn't just one aspect of the hobby or the other. It was just kind of a quieter announcement period across the entire industry. Yeah, we had a lot of fun at Pies and Pints. Oh, that's another thing I can talk about food related. Good call. Is I had one of the more unorthodox types of pizza. It was as one of their standards at Pies and Pints. It was a grape, like grape as in like the fruit grapes, and gorgonzola pizza, amazing. Two things, or at least one thing I would have never thought to put on a pizza, which are grapes. But the grapes and the gorgonzola on pizza was just fantastic. Really good pizza. Not to mention the one, and I mentioned earlier, the one at North Market, which was also delicious. I didn't eat anything that wasn't awesome the entire week. Definitely probably put on a couple of pounds, but that's all right, given the amount of walking that we did around the convention and to and from food and everything. I think made up for it. Had an awesome burger at this burger joint nearby with Tommy Lee and Raven, and it was just really good time. Catching up. People talking in the chat about just quality people and how that's been such a nice aspect of this hobby, just the people that you meet. Now, obviously, you always have your 10%, no matter where you are in life and in any aspect, but I love being able to surround myself with quality people, and just salt of the earth is the phrase that comes to mind. And yeah, this is Origins was a great example of meeting a whole lot of those people. That was really, really great time. Oh, that's a really good on-the-spot question that I have no idea about. So Benjamin says, if you could have gotten to try one game at Origins that you weren't able to, what would it be? I think it would be that Citadel Confluence game by WizKids is the one that I would have liked to have played. There is one other that I will mention. I've played Memoir 44 before, but if you follow us on Twitter, I tweeted out some pictures of, it was Overlord, but I think it was Overlord Plus. It was 8 maps, all put together to be the entire Normandy beach landings via Memoir 44, that I don't know if I really wanted to play it, but man, that was awesome to see that thing set up. They had German pillboxes with LED red lights in them to give a little bit more of a thematic feel to it, and had guns pointing out of it. And that was really cool. That was awesome to see. I did see a couple of Monster War games there as well, Baltic Gap, and it was one of the Napoleon ones. I tweeted it out, and I cannot think of it off the top of my head. But that was awesome to see. Amanda got a kick out of this because she'd never seen any of I'd never seen any of the Monster games in person. I've seen pictures and everything, and I've heard stories how a lot of gamers, when they're at Consim World Expo or MonsterCon or any of this, some of these turns, like one player's turn, can take like 4 hours, moving all their units and making their decisions and everything. And there was one guy, it was a 2-player Baltic Gap game, and one of them was sitting there, he had a really, really thick book that he was reading while the other player took his turn. Amanda got a real big kick out of that, and I snapped a picture of it. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, just those were cool to see. But I would say probably the Citadel Confluence game is the one that I wish I would have been able to try out that I didn't get a chance to. Also, I should also point out, and I need to be real coy about this, and I'm not trying to be difficult when I say this, but I have a very good friend of mine whose game I had in my possession that I was able to show off to a publisher and on his behalf demo to try and get it signed. So keep your fingers crossed, and I'm sure if and when that comes to pass that you will hear from my friend. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking scary experience I've ever had in this hobby, even more so than hitting record the very first time for episode 1 Madeira for Heavy Cardboard, for the simple fact that I have somebody's baby and I'm trying to put a good face on this baby that I truly believe in and feel good about and feel strongly about, but it's not mine. And what if I screw this up and this doesn't come to pass because of what I did? Talk about scared out of your wits. That was me. Dude, I was shaking like just a leaf beforehand. If I was thinking, I would have asked Amanda to run to the bar to go get me a shot so I could probably settle down. In the end, though, I think it all went well, and we'll see how it turns out. That was a very cool experience. I'm glad I got to experience it once in my life, and yeah, I'm all set. I have no interest in doing that again. That was a one-off. But that was pretty cool. That was a really good question, though. What one game would I have wanted to try? I would have liked to have tried the expansion for Terraforming Mars if it was there, but I know it's coming, so there's no big deal. So something out of my normal wheelhouse would have been good. Which again, that the game by WizKids, definitely everybody and their mother was telling me, it seemed, that we need to check that out. Not talking badly about pizza there, Skywolf. It's all about talking about badly about crap pizza. Because I don't believe that any pizza is good pizza. I strongly disagree with that. I really do. Hey, Skippin's here. Hi, Skippin. We won. Yes, North Market definitely lived up to the hype. Really enjoyed that. Which I think I've talked enough about here, so I can probably nip that in the bud, I mean. Let's see. Yeah, Overload or Overlord. I like that. Andrew says, wait, Madeira was episode 1? Yeah, I went back and listened to it. Man, it's painful to hear. The cool thing is our licensed music. We license our music before we actually start, which is Ronald Jenkins here on YouTube. If you haven't heard any of his other work, everything that we sample throughout, whether it's a pod blast or the podcast itself or anything like that, we all licensed everything with it. That's one thing that I'm very, very happy and glad, going back to episode 1, that we did, for the simple fact that we did it right from the beginning. Just the audio quality is cringeworthy. Oof. So yeah, let's move on. Can I think of a dexterity game that also qualifies as heavy? No, I can't. But that's okay. They don't need to be, because dexterity games are fun and enjoyable for what they are, being a dexterity game, right? I heard that the new Godfather game was there. I did not see it, nor did I seek it out, because that is very much not something that interests me. Nor did I think many of our viewers and listeners would be terribly interested in that. So it just wasn't something that really was too high on my interest list. Brad says he saw some complaints about it being tough to get into open gaming. Did I see any of that? I didn't. I saw a lot of empty tables in a good way, like there was plenty of space. Now, I know that the badges or the ribbons that you had to buy for $20 for the open gaming for the entire weekend, I don't know if you're talking about outside of that or inside of that, but I didn't see or hear any issues of that. But that's not to say that it didn't happen, all right? Okay, curling, fair point, be a heavy dexterity game. Just by default, those stones are weigh a lot. All right. So I think I'm just about caught up with everything. Flip Ships, actually, by Renegade Games. That would be another one that I didn't get a chance to play, that I actually wanted to. I was hearing a lot of really good things about that, so I would like to pick that up and give that a try at some point. Again, it's a dexterity game. It's a lighter game. So, not everything that we play is going to be super heavy. It's just that's the majority about what we're going to talk about on the show. So there's that, right? All right. Transitioning into the upcoming schedule for Heavy Cardboard. So today, obviously, we're doing the Origins recap and the upcoming schedule. The podcast, we released the Nuno and Paulo interview, or the conversations with Heavy Cardboard. That dropped overnight last night, so that's already out in the wild. So that pretty much covers Monday the 19th. Moving on to Tuesday the 20th, and I apologize that there isn't a fancy graphic. That is 100% my fault, not Amanda's. There will be going forward, just I kind of did that. Today was supposed to be a day off, so Amanda didn't make a graphic, right? I can't blame her for that. I just don't know what a day off is, so it is what it is. All right, so Tuesday, nothing for the podcast because we wanted to give folks a couple days to digest the Nuno and Paulo conversation that I had from last week. However, on the YouTube channel, I am going to do the first top 6 video in a series that we're going to be doing, going forward. Reason top 6? Because, we rate on a 1 to 6 scale. Plus, to be honest with you, there aren't going to be 10 of some of these things on these lists that we're going to be doing, and I didn't want to force it. 6 feels right. So, plus it ties in with our ratings scale. So, the first one that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, hopefully, is top 6 biggest recent surprises to us. That's kind of a little general and vague on purpose. We're not going to give a hard, fast timeline on this one, but we will on some of the others. Now, I say if possible. The reason is, here in about 48 minutes, I have to make a phone call and find out whether or not I have to show up for jury duty. So if I have jury duty, you know what you're not getting tomorrow? You're not getting the top 6. So there's that. And if not, then we'll slide it a day. Unless I get selected for a jury, then you will get it when I'm done with jury duty. Let's hope not. But at the same time, I've already been a foreman on a attempted murder trial when I was in Vegas. You guys should ask about that sometime. That, I think, is a pretty interesting story. Anyway, depending on whether or not I have to show for jury duty or not will dictate whether or not the top 6 comes on Tuesday or later in the week. So there's that. For Wednesday, nothing for the podcast, because on Thursday, you're going to get our full PAX Renaissance review. And that's going to be a 2-pronged review with me and Ash. The reason Amanda is not going to be a part of it, she's going to be a part of the episode. She is not going to be a part of the review by her choice. The reason is she doesn't feel like she groks it enough, even though she's played it 6 or 7 times. She doesn't feel like she has a good enough handle on it to review it, whereas Ash and I both do. And so therefore it's going to be Ash and I doing our review of PAX Ren for our regular episode for Thursday. We're also going to have some other extra content in that episode, so keep an ear out for that on Thursday. Getting back to Wednesday, though, the 21st, we're going to teach and live stream Rococo, which is why you see it in front of me over here. We may or may not include the jewelry expansion. We probably will, because the rules overhead on that is pretty small. Plus, it adds a little je ne sais quoi to the game. So Wednesday, YouTube, Rococo. That's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, which is 1:30 a.m. UTC. So it's going to be heavy on the American times this week for the evening stuff. And hopefully if we're able to get some stuff during the day, then be a little bit more European friendly. All right. So as I said, Thursday, we have the PAX Renaissance review and episode on the podcast on YouTube. We're finally going to do Terraforming Mars. We're also going to feature the Meeple Realty insert on that. That also is going to be 7:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, which is 1:30 a.m. UTC time, I guess on Friday technically. Friday, I'm going to take a day off. Here's what I will promise. If I have jury duty or I have to show up tomorrow for jury duty for the top 6, meaning I can't do it on Tuesday, I will instead do it on Friday. So it'll at least be this week for our first top 6. So hopefully that works out. And the reason no live stream or anything like that on Friday is it's our game of the month, which is Indonesia. And we just did that a couple weeks ago, and we don't want to, redo it again. So there's that. Saturday, we are going to live stream one of the Winsome games from this year that I showed off previously in one of the previous live streams. We have chosen, actually Matt chose this. It's Iberian Gauge, a Tom Russell game as well. That's going to be at 11:30 a.m. Saturday, Mountain Daylight Time, so it's 5:30 p.m. UTC. And then on Sunday at 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so it's 9 p.m., we're going to do this again. We're going to go over our schedule for the following week, and then following that, we're going to actually live stream Barren Park, a playthrough of that, teaching and playthrough of that. And also on Sunday for the podcast, we're going to have our the conversations with Heavy Cardboard, but this one being the Vital Lacerda interview from a few weeks ago. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where we're at on all of that. So that's the schedule. So recap real quick. Tuesday, if I don't have jury duty for you, I'll do YouTube first, podcast second. YouTube. Tuesday, top 6 biggest recent surprises at noon, if I don't have jury duty. And all these times are Mountain Daylight Time. On Wednesday, Rococo at 7:30 Mountain Daylight Time, 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, Terraforming Mars with the Meeple Realty insert at 7:30 Mountain Daylight Time. On Friday, if I had jury duty, I will do the top 6 biggest recent surprises. If not, that will have been done on Tuesday, and I'm taking Friday off. Saturday is the Winsome Iberian Gauge at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And Sunday is Barren Park, following the schedule release. So think of it probably about 3 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time on that. For the podcast, today was Nuno and Paulo Conversations with Heavy Cardboard. On Thursday is PAX Renaissance episode. And then on Sunday is going to be the more Conversations with the Elephant with Vital Lacerda. And that's it. That's all I got information-wise. Somehow this ended up being over an hour. I have no idea how. You guys keep me talking. Yay. So that's cool. All right, let's see. Yeah. Yes, Terraforming Mars is on Thursday. Cool. All right. Awesome. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I know this was kind of a gonzo thing with very little notice. I understand that. We're going to try and do these every Sunday outside of when we're going to conventions. Sunday at 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight, which is 9 p.m. Mountain Daylight. And that way can kind of cover both the Europeans as well as North American and South American folk that tend to watch us. Asia, I apologize. Sorry. All right. So that said, I guess I'll be seeing a lot of you, or you'll be seeing a lot of me, and I'll be talking a lot with you all here coming up this week, and looking forward to it. So thanks, everybody. Also, big thanks to all our patrons on patreon.com /Heavy Cardboard. Without them, this doesn't happen. And if you like all this extra content that we are able to provide, then consider supporting the show, because this will stop when I go back to working if I have to, if I'm not able to do this full time. It's not a threat. It's nothing like that. It's simple fact. The extra content is available. I'm able to do all this extra content because I'm able to do this full time. So it's entirely in your hands. If it's something that you like and want to support and want to have more of, consider supporting us. Patreon.com/heavy cardboard. Thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate it. And thanks everybody that I met or that Amanda and I met at Origins. We had a blast, and thanks for helping make that really, really special for us. Cool. All right. We'll see you all this week, or you'll hear from us this week if you're on the podcast. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.